is this an overreaction to just one game, Jenks?
No, it's not. Everybody wants to think it is. Now, look, let me temper this. It's a bit of an overreaction. A bit of an overreaction. But how much more do you need to see? People are treating Brock Purdy, and I'm not even a Brock Purdy apologist. I don't care either way. But my point is this. Do we not remember last season when he started and they went on this incredible winning streak and then they went to Philly, obviously got knocked out? He was balling out last year. He's doing it again this year. Look at all the stats. We were talking about this yesterday. Whether it's completion percentage, whether it's quarterback rating, whether it's air yards. Chelsa, you brought that up. Here's the thing. Sometimes you have to put the name aside. There's some sort of inherent bias when it comes to Brock Purdy because of his history, because of his name, because he doesn't have the cachet, because he fell into a great spot. But if you stripped his name away and you just looked at the statistics, you would say, who's this guy? And you know who it is? It's Brock Purdy. Now, is what we're seeing right now partially because of that dominant victory against the Eagles? Yes. But let's not act like San Francisco just suddenly started playing well last week. This has been going on for the better part of a couple seasons now. And you know when it started? When Brock Purdy started playing quarterback. That's when it started. So I don't think it's an overreaction at all.
I don't think so either. Like, maybe some of the MVP talk for Brock Purdy, but like the stats say that it is absolutely justified. But if you look at the 49ers, when they win, they're absolutely crushing opponents. And not just the cellar dwellers, kind of like the Cowboys are. And in fact, if you look at the NFC, who are the top teams in the NFC? We've got the Niners, the Cowboys, and the Eagles. Well, the Niners have beaten the Cowboys and the Eagles by a combined score of 73-29. Pure domination by the Niners. And in fact, the games that they have lost, it's because of the injuries. Because when they don't have Trent Williams on the offensive line, that is a big hole to fill. Like, physically speaking, he is a huge guy. Also didn't have Deebo Samuel in some of those losses. So when the 49ers are at full strength, it feels like they're unbeatable. So the fact that they're the favorite to win the NFC, no, it's not an overreaction. It is the plain, simple truth when it comes to the NFC and also the rest of the league. The Niners are dominating. It is deserved. The Chiefs, after a loss, when Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback, 18-3 straight up. That is a pretty impressive metric. And I think it shows, number one, how good the Chiefs have been since Patrick Mahomes has entered the fold, but also how good they are at responding and how good they are at game planning when it comes to the next game after a loss. Now, maybe you could look at some of those games and say, okay, who are they playing? Maybe they're not playing a team that's as good as the Bills. But I think if you look at both of these teams and you say, okay, which is the team that's more dependable that I would like to put my money on? I think that would still be the Chiefs. They're coming off a loss, sure. They're 8-4, sure. That's not as impressive a record as you would think for the Kansas City Chiefs. But you look at the Bills. They certainly have top-end potential. I think they can compete with the best of teams in the NFL. But also, they have the ability to look very, very bad. Like, their ceiling is very high, but also their floor can be very low. So I think that is the problem when you put your money on a team like the Buffalo Bills, who are playing a road game here too. This one's in Kansas City. So I will go with the Chiefs in somewhat of a buy low situation after the Chiefs just lost to the Packers.
I think so too. I just don't quite believe in the Bills, who have been maddeningly inconsistent, are going to come into Kansas City and stay close with these guys. At least not within 2.5 points. I think this is just such a low number for Kansas City, and you mentioned how good they are coming off a loss. Patrick Mahomes is not a guy who loses back-to-back games, and so you're getting the Chiefs really cheap here. In fact, when I make my hockey bet tonight, I'm betting on a very good team who has struggled recently, and because of that, there's good value here. I think there's value on the Chiefs, so I'm with you. Chiefs laying the 2.5.
It looks like you have some plays for these college football semifinals, so give them to us.
Yes. Okay. So I go back and forth with this because you can make an argument for both teams, obviously Alabama and Michigan. the talent is there on both sides of the sidelines. Jalen Milroe, I think, is going to be the biggest test that Michigan has faced this year. He's a big mobile quarterback. Michigan has not seen many of those, so I think Milroe is going to be a problem. But with this game basically a pick'em, and I mean really moving in favor of Alabama over these last couple of days, I think what these two playoff games are going to come down to is who takes care of the ball better. You know, the turnovers, the small, I don't want to say intangible things, but those other variables. And Michigan takes great care of the ball. 2 turnovers in its last 10 games. It doesn't have a lot of penalties, leads the nation with the fewest penalties, both penalties with under 3, and obviously then kind of lends itself to fewest penalty yards. Alabama, these last couple of games, they've needed a little bit of help. They needed a fumble from Auburn. Obviously, really poor coverage on that last defensive play for Auburn, in which Alabama, and then Georgia as well. Georgia fumble around territory. They had that little doink off the field goal. So a couple bounces have gone Alabama's way over these last couple of games, and that just doesn't happen for Michigan. They don't make those same kind of mistakes. So I'm leaning Wolverines here. At this point, you probably just should take them on the money line, but I would almost even wait and see if you can get them at, if this line flips at all in favor of Alabama, see if you can get a better number on Michigan money line.
Kate, I got to ask about this, and I'm curious. I'm going to the game. I'll be there in New Orleans, but I am worried because I know my Longhorns are favored over the Huskies, but Washington is really, really good. What do you think is going to happen here?
Oh, okay, Jenks. So my brother went to Texas, and so if Texas makes the national championship, we are going. And I hope that you, well, we're going to try and go. We haven't stuff yet, but in our minds, we're going. So if you're there, we got to meet up face to face.
Oh, we have to. I'm trying to decide if I can afford to go to both games because New Orleans is going to be pricey. And even Catherine's like, you're going to go again? I was like, maybe, yeah.
You gotta.
So
yeah, that's why I say we think we're going, but we haven't quite looked into prices yet. So, but we'll see. Texas has to get there first. And Jenks, talk me out of this, but I'm a little worried for the Longhorns. I have not personally bet this game yet, but I'm leaning Washington because I think this is a bad matchup for Texas. Texas is the more complete team of the two, but Texas' biggest weakness is defending the pass, and that's basically the Huskies' entire offense. I mean, the Longhorns, 85th in pass defense, are giving up 240 yards per game through the air, 61st rather in sack percentage. So they're not getting to the quarterback a whole lot. Which, if Penix has time, he can throw the ball anywhere. And like I mentioned, that's the Huskies' offense. It's built around airing out the ball. 2 receivers, Rome Odunze, Polk, both finished the season with over 1,000 yards. And the Huskies lead the nation in passing yards per game, over 340. So, Jenks, can you talk me out of backing Washington at all other than your fandom?
no, I can't. I've said that on this show. I've echoed the same exact sentiments, which is Texas is a better all-around team, but this is strength versus weakness, and you can throw in the Longhorns. So, unfortunately, I want Texas to win, obviously, but I agree with your handicap.